Welcome, viewers and subscribers, to my first upload in what has been far too long. I really do apologize for the amount of time that has transpired since my previous video. This will be my first upload in 2017, so I hope you guys are all having a great start to your new year. And before we start, I'd also like to say thank you for taking the time to check out the video today. The gameplay that you guys are seeing in the background is from an upcoming new title called For Honor. It's being both published and developed by Ubisoft. Since you have stumbled across this video, I'm going to assume that you at least know a little bit about For Honor, but in case you don't know anything about the game, I'll quickly do a little bit of a TLDR for you. For Honor is definitely getting a lot of attention from the Souls community, and I think that's partially due to the effort of several big-name YouTubers that are covering the game. But in my personal opinion, this game is a fighting game at its core. Yes, there are certain elements that I guess would be kind of carryover from Dark Souls, but this game is much more like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, or Soul Calibur than any of the Soulsborne games, at least in my opinion. In the game, there are three major factions: Viking, Samurai, and Knights, and each faction has four, I guess you could call them subclasses, or heroes, as they're called in the game. In the closed beta that I participated in over this past weekend, we only had access to 9 out of the 12 in total. So you select your class and then you compete against other players in a series of game modes. To my knowledge, there are only going to be 3 game modes: 1v1 duels, 2v2, and then 4v4. The 1v1 and 2v2 both are just players versus players. The 4v4 also features kind of AI minions that kind of help direct the flow of battle, and really the 4v4, from my experience, seems a lot like domination or something from Call of Duty, because you're capturing points and holding points and stuff like that. The hero that you guys are seeing in the gameplay is called the Kensei. It's one of the Samurai faction heroes. Has decent reach, but a fairly predictable moveset in my experience playing with the class. One thing I do definitely want to come right out and be honest with you guys is that I am not good at this game at all. It's a new franchise for me and for everyone, and I think we all as a community have a lot to learn about this game, and there's a lot of things that are yet to be discovered, so just keep that in mind as you're watching the gameplay. These were among my very first fights after I downloaded the beta. I definitely felt like I improved throughout the weekend though, but these are my first fights. As for my thoughts and impressions from playing the game, I think For Honor has both a very steep learning curve and a very high skill ceiling. I think both of these things are good though. They provide a lot of depth and a lot of mastery that is required to play this game at a high level. And I think for a game in this day and age, those are both good qualities to have, at least in my opinion. That said, though, there's, like I mentioned, there's a pretty steep learning curve, and I think this game could be off-putting to, and I don't really want to say this, but more casual players, I think, will maybe not have as much of enjoyment out of this game as, some more quote-unquote hardcore gamers. But don't get me wrong at all, this game is an absolute blast to play. Throughout the weekend, I partied up with a number of people, friends of mine, that also got access to the beta, and we did 2v2s versus each others, and 4v4 versus randoms, 2v2s versus randoms. It was a lot of fun, so I think that's definitely a positive for the game. One thing I do want to mention is that I see a lot of complaints on, communities such as the Reddit page for this game about the lack of dedicated servers. So if you don't know, For Honor, at least in its current state, and this will probably be at least through release, will use a peer-to-peer matchmaking system. I personally did not experience really any issues, but I know that a lot of people, for a lot of people, the peer-to-peer was definitely a detriment to them. And I think, as a whole, dedicated servers are the way to go for this game, but at least for the time being, this is a peer-to-peer game. In my experience, the class balance between the various heroes seems not bad. I think it's certainly way too early to be formulating any form of a tier list, and to be honest with you guys, I think a lot of the issues I had with a number of the classes were just due to my lack of experience and lack of skill in combating those certain classes and tactics. A lot of people are saying that the Orochi and the Peacekeeper are fairly strong. That may be the case. I mean, obviously, in any game, there's going to be weapons or classes or characters that are going to be easier to play than others, but for the most of the player base, we've only had 3 days to play this game, so I do think it's too early to tell for certain. One personal gripe that I would like to mention, and I could see this being a little bit controversial, but you guys will see it in this current duel I'm having with, I believe that's the Viking Raider as my opponent. In some of the 1v1 maps, I feel like the map hazards are just a little bit too prominent. And what I mean by that is, it's not, you'll see it in the 5th round of this current duel. It's just there are a few maps where you're fighting on such a narrow bridge, and I feel like it really kind of constrains the fight and makes it more about like who can perform the grab or the counter grab and just hurl your opponent off the edge. Again, I think map hazard, again, this is probably just me needing to get good at the game and such like that. And I think that map hazards are good for the game. They add an extra level of an extra dynamic that players have to consider. But it's just a few of the maps, they feel really forced, and they feel like the center point of the duel. And that, in my opinion, is, I don't know, it's just something that I don't really like. And actually, the way the timing of this commentary works out is you guys are about to see an example of exactly what I'm talking about. So we're tied 2-2, and we're on this really narrow map that just constrains the movement, and just look, whoop, quick grapple, and off the edge I go. Match is immediately over. As I mentioned, this is just really probably me needing to adapt and be a little bit better at, being aware of my surroundings. But initially, I don't like how on some maps it feels really forced to me. The map hazards feel very prominent. This last fight that you guys are going to see is, in my opinion, a pretty good duel between me and a warden. This was definitely the best duel that I had on my first day of playing after downloading the beta. I'm actually going to let you guys watch most of the duel without any commentary, so you can just see some raw gameplay. So again, I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time to watch the video and hear what I have to say. Let me know your thoughts on this game if you would like to see it covered on the channel. I am definitely intrigued by this game, and it's one that I could see myself starting to learn and try to gain some level of mastery over. But let me know what you guys think. There will be more Dark Souls content coming, especially with the final DLC, which was recently announced. Might do a little bit more Destiny, but we'll see. Take care.
Round 3. 4. Round 5.